Today, Joe Manchin has serious concerns of the $3.5 trillion spending bill. Gee, I wonder what that's about. Also, Joe Biden says Andrew Cuomo did a hell of a job as governor despite all of the sexual harassment investigative report. And by the way, a school board member says maskless kids will commit murder if they go to school without masks. We've got a lot coming up, and I'm going to do my best to give it to you without expletives today. It all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, today joined by Chief Researcher of the Glenn Beck Program, Jason Buttrill, who is also a fellow Doberman lover. And by the way, I am trying to bring you on board to help me convince my husband to get another Doberman. So we need to talk about that.
I would never do that to him, ever, I don't think. One Doberman is too much, I believe, and 2 cats and 3 other dogs.
All right, anyway, also thankfully joined by Elijah Schaefer, host of Slightly Offensive, and also the upcoming show that has already been announced on BlazeTV called You Are Here, which he is hosting with Sydney Watson, and we're all very excited about.
Yeah, and you said without expletives, to put into perspective, today's episode of my show that's about to come out, I just put like in capitals uncensored in the title, and then also we made a whole new like warning at the end. We were like, this is a really bad episode. We've got to put like a graphic in the beginning saying like every word in this that exists in the language that you should not use is now in this episode. That's where my guests were at today, was like, things are so stupid. Like I was like, there was new words that I learned today.
Those warnings are like catnip for me. I'm like, oh, I'm clicking on that one. Like instantly.
And Elijah's show is already, I mean, it's not the censored news show that this is.
A lot of British cigarette words and stuff going on. But I was like,
already,
oh, wow.
I mean, it is called Slightly Offensive. So
but I'm there. I'm already there, so I'm going to watch my words too.
Okay, well, I won't say I appreciate that, but our overlords here at BlazeTV appreciate that. All right, so Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, of course, I don't know if you guys, just in case there are any newbies here, this is a Democrat who we are talking about, is sending a warning shot to President Biden and all of the Democrat congressional leaders, saying that he has, quote, serious concerns about the $3.5 trillion spending bill that the Democrats want to pass later this year. Now, this bill, just to put it, we were having this off-air conversation about it because there are so many spending bills going on. We've got the infrastructure bill that's $1.9 trillion that they just passed, and we have this $3.5 trillion spending bill that they just voted to advance so that they could debate it. So obviously all of the Democrats voted to advance the bill so that they could debate it. But Joe Manchin is saying that he thinks it's too much. He says, given the current state of the economic recovery, it is simply irresponsible to continue spending at levels more suited to respond to a Great Depression or a Great Recession, not an economy that is on the verge of overheating. He also said that irresponsible levels of spending could negatively impact the U.S.'s ability to react to, quote, unforeseen consequences. And here is, I want to get your thoughts on this, gentlemen. By the way, I also want to say Kyrsten Sinema, who is also a Democrat, also said that she would not support a $3.5 trillion price tag and would try to shrink the spending package as they debate it on the floor of the Senate. But let me give you first Chuck Schumer, who was asked if he would consider a lower price tag given Manchin's opposition. Here's what he said.
Look, there are some in my caucus who may believe it's too much. There are some in my caucus who believe it's too little. The original bill that Senator Sanders put in was $6 trillion. I supported that. And I can tell you this, in reconciliation, one, we are going to all come together to get something done. And two, it will have every part of the Biden plan in a big, bold, robust way. Menu.
But just to follow up, I mean,
You can follow up.
But are you open to lowering the price tag, or are you firm on $3.5 trillion?
As I said, every part of Biden's proposal will be there in a big, robust way. There are some members in our caucus who want less, some members in our caucus who want more. That's same in the House. We're going to all come together to meet that goal.
And once again, we find ourselves in a position where I guess Joe Manchin, the entire entirety of America, right, on Joe Manchin.
The guy's using the old girlfriend first time seeing it thing, like, well, I mean, guys are good at all sizes. Sometimes it's big and sometimes it's small, and size doesn't matter. It's like, buddy, this is not hooking up for the first time in high school time. This is the budget that could destroy the economy of the entire country and could set us back, and perhaps that's what you guys want to do. I'm starting to get that they want to get us and shift us from a capitalist country. They want to inflate our dollar. They want to overheat. And what we're seeing with this bill is them saying, yeah, this is the intention, right? That you will own nothing and you will be happy. Because I know my group of people, like people in their late 20s, early 30s, we can't buy houses even if we have good credit scores, even if we have money. I'm having banks tell me they're not giving mortgages. My score's almost 800, and I have money to put down 20%, and they won't give me a mortgage.
What are they saying? Why are they saying?
They're not giving. They're just going. People are offering cash for the houses and stuff, so we can't get it written up in time and whatnot. And you're going. I can't even get a house. I can't own a home. Like the country is changing forever, and at the moment where we are changing the very backbone of home ownership in the country and the ability to advance yourself, you're saying pump $3.5 trillion in socialist spending. That has to be an intentional deviation away from what our country was founded to be, of individual liberty, citizenship, and ownership, into a country, again, where I got an email last night, and I swear to God, and I say this honestly, we need your help, because a store that's not that expensive to everybody, Express Clothing, I mean, it's still for some people expensive, are now trying rental clothes, where you can now rent your clothes. We've gone from rental furniture to rent your apartment to now even rent the clothes on your back. We are in the Great Reset, and they know it, and they're on board.
It doesn't sound like Elijah doesn't own anything, but he's not happy about it.
I am not happy.
He's not actually happy about it.
And I'm not stoked.
Jason.
So these two bills are spending pack, whatever this thing is called, plus the infrastructure bill, they're both linked together. And they all point to one thing, which is, it's the, the opinion or the vision of one side of the country that thinks that the government can solve every single problem. They should address every single problem. And the other side that says, no, government doesn't have to address every single problem. That's why we have businesses, private businesses, corporations, those evil corporations, individuals that can figure these things out. Things that used to be pretty obvious. Like we can figure out how to build our own damn roads. We can figure out how to fund college. We can figure out how to pay for it. We can all these things that healthcare, all these things that we say private businesses can take care of. It's why we are the leaders in these industries all throughout the world, is because private individuals took over. Now they're trying to say the government, no, they need to take over. And it's a fundamental shift in the country. But the infrastructure bill was the poison pill to begin this. The spending budget is how they're going to get it all done, and that's how they're going to tie it up. And that was a nice non-answer by Chuck Schumer. He didn't say he would reduce it, or he would agree to reduce it. In fact, I think he wants to. This is the jumping off point.
He signaled that he agreed with Bernie Sanders on the $6 trillion.
Exactly, and they know. But look, here's
it makes me sick, dude. I'm just saying, I'm not going to go any further, except for the fact that when I hear these numbers,
what's another trillion?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that to people that may not be grasping this, that may not understand this, it's okay, because not everyone is paid full time to be in politics and to be a researcher or anything like that. But when you know exactly where this is going to head, that somebody in the party that is pushing this is using vague words like there is going to be unforeseen consequences, like this we're getting to the point where the globalist American empire is taking over our country, and we are not looking out for the people. We, the people, are not in power, and it's affecting our lives. And you might not feel it because maybe you're old enough to have owned a home or whatever. We are crushing the middle class. We are destroying the roots and the fabric of our nation. This could be the end. And I'm not a fearmonger. It's just like they are setting the stage for the end of America as we know it.
You're going to see some very creative ways because they want to get that done. That's what they want. That's the direction they're going in. They're trying to do it by kind of playing by the rules, but this reconciliation thing is such bullcrap. I wish they didn't even have it, because all the things that they want to get done that they would normally have to have a supermajority, they're just going to kind of like shove it into this and say, look, that's all we need is our 50 votes. I will put a little bit, they do have division in the party. So this is not going to be easy for them to do, because you're going to have the Sanders, the squad people. Yeah.
And you've got at least two of them who are already saying we're not going to we're not going to vote for this.
Right. So that means that they're going to be tempted to go down off that $3 trillion, but then you're going to lose people like AOC and all of them, and they're not going to vote for it over in the House. So and they're very shaky. They've only got like 10, 12 votes that they can play around with on this. But don't depend on the Republicans. I could not believe when I looked at the list of Republicans that voted for the infrastructure. I tell you what, the GOP.
17 of them, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
it may have been 19.
Lindsey Graham was one of them.
Oh, don't even get me started on that guy.
Oh my gosh.
That doesn't surprise me one bit, actually.
I think we lost it. Like, I firmly believe, and I don't mean to be bleak here, but America is not probably going to come back from this in terms of the track record we're on, because you would need a stronger support against these things. I would have more hope if it was like every Republican voted against it. So it'd be like, okay, well, we need to get the majority. But it's like, it doesn't matter if we don't have the majority or not. These people are Republicans, our leaders are in the pockets of these special interest groups and of the corrupt, and they are not looking out for us. Shame on them.
Oh yeah, the majority won't matter, because every time they do get the majority, they tell us, oh, we need one other branch of government. Oh, we need one more thing. Like when they actually had it, we had at the start of Trump's administration, we had every single branch. We had everything. Everything we needed to do, they did jack squat.
Well, that's what really is worrying me, is that, you had, President Trump was one of the most amazing presidents in my lifetime. Obviously, I was a President Trump supporter, but even under President Trump, nobody gave a crap about spending at all. We were still spending at record levels. So it's like, at what point, who is the party of less government spending? I don't think that there is one at this point at all.
It does not exist. It does not exist as we know. There's a few that you can put it probably on one hand that believe like that. Like
maybe
Paul,
the Freedom Caucus.
Lee, Cruz, people like that. But that's about it. But this is a big warning, though. If this does fail, you're going to see a rapid advancement towards something that this country was not founded on, has nothing to do with freedom-loving, principles. And my example on that is what the CDC did. I'm sure you guys talked about this when I was on vacation a couple weeks ago. But
welcome back.
When they, thank you.
You
Mexico
look, you're very
suntan.
tan. You are very tan. I think you're more tan than me.
But when they did that thing with doing the moratorium on evictions, basically they did what Congress should have done. I'm not saying that I wish they would have done that, but that
wasn't their place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the fruition of what Woodrow Wilson started at the turn of the century during the Progressive Era. Basically, I hate them. Basically, what they did was they set the framework. FDR built all the alphabet soup and all the bureaucracy, and then they sat back and waited for a time when a crisis when they could subvert the Constitution, do an end around. And how do you do that? You weaponize the bureaucracy, have them do, which, by the way, they're all in the pocket of the left and liberals, have them do what Congress won't do, or what the Constitution says can't be done. That was a terrifying precedent right there. So if this does fail, if they don't get this done, what other bureaucratic agency is going to be weaponized to do all this crap anyway? Department of Homeland Security? FCC coming down on news organizations like this one? Seriously, the sky is the limit on what they can do. Department of Agriculture, all this different thing that says Department of or Agency of or whatever.
Even the Capitol Police are now an intelligence agency.
Intelligence organization.
Yeah,
with zero oversight.
Yeah, we're now intelligence. When I heard $2 billion for security, I go, $2 billion? Where do you guys get $2 billion for security of a building? Like, that's the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life. And it's like, well, we just decided that. And when you look, and this is what I want people to understand, is to prove that they're not governing at all for the people and they're operating rogue as a rogue government, is the fact of when you poll the people, because I read the polls from Rasmussen and whatnot, and you look at like how many people support voter ID. Well, it's the majority of black people and also the majority of people in general. But it's like then they go, no, we don't want that. And when you look at the We the People Act that they were trying to push through, most people didn't support it. Barely anyone. I think it was like 17 to 40% on any given point of people supported a point. So not on any point, not more than half of the people supported anything. And overall, it was like 17 to 23% of people supported that bill. And they still pushed, they went to their deaths and they died on that hill to push a bill that the American people didn't want. And it was like, and they had the audacity, the sheer audacity. I would never talk about punching a congressperson, but some people might feel like doing that because it's like you have the audacity to go in and to push and call the bill We the People, like for us, and it literally is not supported by anybody. And so that's the nerve they have to slap us in the face with, since this is a children's show, a wet fish, but they pull it out of their pants, that fish, and they slap you with the salmon, and you feel it and you go, they know that they're running rogue. They don't care that they're running rogue, and they do it and they laugh in our faces. What do you do at this point? And I'm serious. People are at the point where they go, what do you do at the point when your government no longer represents you? And if the answers are hard to confront.
Yeah, I totally agree. All right, that was obviously a very heated segment. We've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor. I have to tell you guys, there's never been a sponsor that has been more perfect for a particular segment. Our sponsor is American Hartford Gold, this segment. And you've just heard it right here. Obviously, the state of our nation has completely changed. And with it, so has the world's rock solid confidence in the U.S. dollar. Gee, I wonder why. I don't know. Maybe it's the trillions and trillions of dollars that we keep talking about and our government's out of control spending. Obviously, there are a lot of experts who think that there are dark days ahead for the U.S. dollar. That is why now more than ever, I recommend you diversify with gold and silver. I do it. You should do it too. The only company that I recommend is American Hartford Gold. They sell physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or inside of your IRA, whichever you prefer. They make it very easy. They're the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the BBB and thousands of satisfied clients. If you call them, they will give you right now up to $1,500 of free silver on your first order. Do not wait. If you have not yet noticed, if you were not listening or paying attention, things are not going great right now. All right, now is the time to diversify. You can call 855-929-1110. That is 855-929-1110, or text FREEDOM. That is the word freedom to 65532. That is freedom to 65532. CNN's Caitlin Collins confronted President Joe Biden yesterday for comments he made that are causing quite a stir. This was on Andrew Cuomo, who we, of course, reported yesterday. There's a little tear right here that I just have to get off my eye right here. It's just so sad that Andrew Cuomo was forced to resign, not only after all of the deaths that he caused at the nursing homes, but I mean, that wasn't enough for Democrats to call for his resignation. It was just that he basically was a liability at this point with the sexual harassment scandal, and they had to throw him to the wolves. But Joe Biden was asked, now I have the answer here and the follow-up, but let me tell you what he was asked. Yesterday, he was asked how he would assess Cuomo's 10.5 years as governor of the state. Biden clarified whether it was personal behavior or what he's done as governor, and I'll let you watch the rest.
In terms of his personal behavior or what he's done as a governor?
What he's done as a governor.
Thought he's done a hell of a job. And both on everything from access to voting to infrastructure, to a whole range of things. That's why it's so sad.
Can I quickly follow up on your comment on Governor Cuomo? Can you really say that he has done a, quote, hell of a job if he's accused of sexually harassing women?
Look, you asked two different
on the
questions.
job?
I asked the substantive, should he remain as governor, is one question. And women should be believed when they make accusations that are able to, on the face of them, make sense and investigate it. They're investigated, and the judgment was made that what they said was correct. That's one thing. The question is, did he do a good job on infrastructure? That was the question. He did.
The question was, how did he do as a governor?
No, the question was, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, how was he as a governor general?
Well, the governor generally, obviously,
Outside of his personal behavior.
outside of his personal behavior. Okay.
Can you separate the two? Since
No,
it's
I'm
all-
not. I was asked a specific question.
Right,
I'm trying to answer specifically.
Such a dumpster fire. It's like, he may have, I'm not talking about Cuomo, he may have been a rapist and a murderer, but he was a good cook. All right? So, yeah, he made good spaghetti. That doesn't, but okay, rapists and murdering aside, he was a good cook. Like, what? How tone deaf do you have to be?
The mob runs a couple nice Italian restaurants. You ever tried their chicken parmesan? It's like, buddy, it's the mob.
What a weird thing to say. Yeah, hell of a job. Like, he couldn't even be like, yeah, I mean, okay, but let's focus on the important part of it, which was these accusations were very serious.
What I love
It's
about
just like, oh, hell yeah, he was great as a governor.
What I love about it is he's scrambling so hard because they've been buddies for the longest time.
Yeah.
And during the election, all he could do was say positive things. Like he was saying, he's the only presidential one up there, not President Trump, yada, yada, yada. And also because I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of coordinated together. I wouldn't be surprised if Cuomo was like, hey, Biden, how'd you handle all those sexual harassment, and sexual assaults? Actually, it was a lot more serious.
Yeah, actually.
How'd you handle all that? Well, the reason I say that, I'm just saying that, in jest, because he followed the playbook exactly the same as Biden. He denied what he could, pretty much whatever he could, but all the ones he couldn't deny, he was like, oh, that's just how I am with everybody.
I'm Italian. We touch each other. Come on.
Exactly what Biden did.
Yeah.
To the T, exactly his defense. The only thing is that they didn't buy it for Cuomo. For some reason, for Cuomo, it got to a point where they wanted him gone. I think that's like the biggest story right here, is why now did they want to get rid of him? Because if they wanted to protect him, continue to protecting him, they could have.
Yeah.
We know why. We know why. They did it on the day they passed the infrastructure bill, and we know that was to give the people something, and was like, look, we're not evil. We're about to ruin your entire country, but you can have Cuomo. And then also, too, you know exactly that he didn't go away because he chose to. It was a party decision. This is your time to go. Oh, yeah. And as some people have brought up, I think Matt Walsh just said this, that they're going to replace him with someone worse, so more along party lines. Like, they're going to actually bring someone more loyal to them, because in the end, he actually did care a bit about New York in some ways. I mean, he was a tyrant.
Cared a little too much.
Yeah, not about the grandmas, but I'm just saying, he cared about some women a little more than others, but he still cared. He tried.
What's interesting is just the history of the governors of New York. I mean, it's all the same. It's a pattern it's like every single administration. So Spitzer, he got in by investigating when he was Attorney General, investigating the previous governor. Then it was Cuomo investigating Spitzer for all of his crazy stuff. Remember him? Then, and now it's this new Attorney General. What's her name? Letitia James. Mm-hmm. Exactly the same. All of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this in big investigation." I wonder why. I wonder if it's because you're being maneuvered into being the next governor. I think they probably handpicked her, and I'm sure just all of a sudden out of nowhere, she's like, I'm going to all of a sudden investigate all these different accusations against Cuomo. No, this is a setup from the very beginning.
Yeah, I do want to also add to the conversation just to show, as we said on the program whenever this happened, the left doesn't actually have morals. They just know that they have to say, yes, he should resign, even though they don't actually want him to resign. Alec Baldwin saying the quiet parts out loud, actor Alec Baldwin, who tweeted out, regardless of what you think of Cuomo, this is a tragic day. Party politics in this country draw ambitious but ultimately isolated, even socially maladjusted men and women who, given the current cancel culture, will likely have their shortcomings exposed and magnified. I would just like to remind everyone, you are talking about a governor who did all of these things, allegedly, according to the report. He did all of these things as governor. Like, this isn't there's not cancel culture. Like, he's governor of New York, groping women, and Alec Baldwin says it's a tragic day.
Oh, that tweet was hilarious. That was one of those tweets of, tell me you sexually harassed a woman and it's about to come out without really telling me. That's what that tweet was.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, so obvious.
Maladjusted men. Yeah, maladjusted. Yeah. I didn't see that, but I will say that we've come to a point, too, where I want to say this to people who are conservative, is that this misuse of the phrase cancel culture is being used on both sides, where it's like, no, when someone commits a crime and you hold them accountable for justice, that's just justice. Now, you can have grace on somebody and you could let somebody off if they're going to change their life or if they show remorse. There's no remorse here. So you could say, you make a Christian argument, yeah, well, maybe we should have grace on him. Of course we should. We should always have grace and mercy like God would. But still, you murder my family, you should get injected, you should die. You know what I mean? Like that's the point. There's got to be justice. And what you're seeing now is they're turning that phrase back on us, like, oh, but you wouldn't want to cancel him. And it's like, buddy, that's you canceled yourself.
Right.
Like, it's not that Cuomo said the N-word 3 years ago on video and now we're gonna kick him out.
How about 30 years ago?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he just was drunk and said something stupid in a joke or something, and now we're like, you can't be governor. It's like, this is the sexual assault of tons of women that's been proven that you did these things. There's even pictures of you, like, weirdly touching women and stuff.
Like 79,000 pieces of evidence.
But that's my point. Like, you're not being canceled.
No.
You're just being held to the rule of law.
Of your behavior too.
And these are the minor charges against him.
Right.
He killed thousands of old people.
Yeah.
For crying out loud. How did that not cancel him?
Right. Impeached for that.
Yeah, well, that's not enough for Democrats.
His main headhunter, that chick that stepped down, was like a few days before he did this. Something's going to come out of that. Because I don't know, something's going to come out of that.
Oh, and by the way, it was Ezekiel Emanuel who just got he just got tapped for what?
FDA.
The FDA.
Yeah.
The guy who was in charge of Obamacare's
Complete live system.
Right.
So basically, if you're 75 years old, you don't deserve to live anymore.
So I would just say, like, that probably they gave him a pat on the back for killing all of those old people. It's kind of like what they want and what they wanted for a really long time. All right, we got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, iTarget Pro. So, again, we're talking about all of this instability that's happening in the country. What is for certain is that you need to be trained with your firearms. You need to make sure that you are practicing. You need to make sure that you are on if anything were to happen. But, I don't know if you guys have noticed, if you can even get a hold of ammo, the cost of it has gone through the roof. And so if you're looking for a cost-effective, safe, and really easy way to practice, you got to try out iTarget Pro. So iTarget Pro, this is really cool. Those of you who are watching can see it. You actually put a laser bullet in your gun and you set up through the app, you set it up on your phone, and they have a target, and it actually can track with the laser when you fire. It can track how you are doing, but also, more importantly, you are learning your gun, you are learning the trigger pull, you are learning sight alignment, and so much more. Jason, I know he could go on and on about it. I'm not going to let him, but he always says that as a former military, dry firing is like the best thing that you can do with your weapon to learn your gun. Yep. Am I right?
As a Marine, when they first learn to shoot, you do 2 weeks of that. That's just that. And it's expensive. You can think about it, but if you don't actually have to fire and actually check your rounds through a laser bullet.
It's so cool. It's way cooler. And as an added bonus, you're not shooting holes through your couches. So that is cool too. You got to go to itargetpro.com, save 10%, plus get free shipping with the offer code NEWS. It is iTargetPro, the letter I, targetpro.com, offer code NEWS. The Norman Public Schools School Board met for a school board meeting, and one of the board members, this is Linda Sexton, of course they're debating, which all of the school boards are debating, which is, are we going to have mask mandates? And Linda Sexton, she's quite a peach. She apparently thinks that kids going to school without masks would actually be committing murder. Here's a little bit of that.
I think if anybody's going to flee to virtual school, it needs to be the maskless. I don't think any parent with an asthmatic 6-year-old, 8-year-old, or 12-year-old should have to make that choice that their child can't go to school because some other kid is going to spread a germ that could kill them. Just goes all over me. I would like to find a way to stand up as a district and get our surrounding superintendents to stand up with us and protect our little kids. It's insane to send 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 all the way up through 11-year-olds that don't have a choice about vaccine, to sit in a classroom where people can spread a deadly disease and not even know they're sick, and not even know that in 3 days they're going to be sick, but they're spreading it today because that's the way it works, this disease, because it's just not okay for kids to commit murder by coming to school without a mask. Gosh. And when it comes down to it, it's possible. They will cause a death of another child because they come to school without a mask. That's not okay.
Well, Miss Linda Sexton, I would just like to know why you have been condoning murder in your schools every single year when there is flu season. Because as we know from the data, kids transmit flu, and the flu is way more dangerous to children than COVID has ever been at any point during this pandemic. So I just would like to know why Miss Linda Sexton has been condoning murder all of these years, but now all of a sudden she's not going to condone murder. Maybe it's because it's not freaking murder.
Because she's now in the cult. You know what I mean? That's what this cult mandate said. This is one of their main leading charges. It's so ridiculous. Rand Paul gets booted off of YouTube for quoting 2 peer-reviewed scientific studies talking about how ridiculous these cloth masks are. Now, if they were being legitimate, if this was all like really from the heart, they'd be like, okay, well, these have to be what are those, N95, whatever the heck those types of masks that actually do something, like actually protect you from something, but they're not. All you have to do is throw on a gaiter or something like that, go in. They say you're fine that way. It does not protect you from COVID.
Which, by the way, they keep making this push for the children. It's just for the children. It's just for the children. No coincidence that the children are not yet eligible to receive the vaccine that they so badly want to push on these kids. But as our very own Steve Deace pointed out, according to the CDC's own data, only 1.8% of current U.S. COVID hospitalizations are school-aged children. Oh, and by the way, that's 112% lower than when the school year ended, and it's never been higher than 3.4% this entire time. But somehow we're supposed to do this. It's for the little children, Elijah.
Yeah, this is about conditioning, social conditioning. They want these kids to get used to having to do things. The government forces something over your face. It's never been about safety, and it never will be. People are like, COVIDiots and the no maskers are keeping us in the pandemic. No, the government is keeping us in this nonsense, and you are keeping us in this nonsense by complying. I just watched a video of a girl crying about everybody that's not wearing a mask, going, and now I have to wear a mask. No, you don't have to wear a mask now. You don't have to, actually. And when I'm reading this new stupid restraining order on Abbott's mask ban in Dallas County. And I'm reading this. I'm reading through the story, and I'm seeing it. Abbott's saying people have the right to do whatever they want to take their own health into their own hands. It is not the government's job to be telling you that you need to put something in your face to go buy something somewhere. That is not the government's job, his office said. Why don't people understand that you don't need the government to force you to do everything? Like, if you want to wear a mask and you want your kid to wear a mask, put a mask on your kid and do that. Go ahead.
Yes.
I think it's abusive to put one on a kid, but maybe you might think me spanking a kid is abusive, but it's fine. Go ahead. But this kind of government push, it's about compliance. It's about the government thinking we're going to solve everything and getting you used to the fact that you're only safe if you listen to the government. And that's what they're teaching the kids, is like, the government's here to keep you safe, which is why I hate the two-income society where people think the government should educate your kids. I am so sorry, but we're past the point where you should send your kids to a government school. And you've got to figure out your life and restructure things, change your lifestyle so that where you are not going to have that. That's why my wife's a stay-at-home wife, because it's like, yes, we can have a nicer house, we can have a nicer car, we can have a lot of things, but it's like, well, people are like, I can't afford it. And then move. Like, you take your life into your own hands. Start taking your life into your own hands, because this is stupidity at this point.
That's a really good point on the conditioning from when they're young, when they're in schools, and especially government-run schools. And to pivot back towards the spending bill, that's a major part of it, is getting you addicted to that pipeline from an early age.
Yeah, it's like universal pre-K.
Preschool, all the way through.
Free
then
college.
Funded college, all the way through. So you just imagine how this will morph later. Yeah. So they're already paying for it, which means they can probably eventually start telling these schools what they can or cannot say. Heck, they already basically do that. It's only going to get worse. It's absolutely insane what they've got set up here. And COVID gave them the crisis from which they could act. It's nuts.
I do want to throw into the equation Chet Hanks, who had this amazing video. For those of you who don't know who Chet Hanks is, this is actually Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson's son. If you guys recall, they were some of the first people in America to be diagnosed with COVID-19, or were they in Australia at the time, I think? But they were American citizens, and they were like the first ones, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, they're in the hospital. This is real. COVID is real, and it's really bad. We really need to be careful, because what if Tom Hanks dies from it? Well, here is Tom Hanks' own son on the State of Everything Watch.
Hey guys, so just checking in. Look, I've been kind of on the fence about this for a while. That's why I've never spoke on it. But with the amount of people that I know recently that have gotten COVID, and with the numbers rising, I think it's important for me to say, I got the vaccine. I think everybody should. I think it's really important that we all do this just as citizens, as Americans. We have to look out for each other and get this under control, guys. So I suggest to all my followers, you guys set an appointment and get the vaccine first thing. Psych! If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I never had COVID. You ain't sticking me with that needle. It's the flu. Get over it, okay? If you're sick, stay inside. I'm tired of having okay? Why are we working around y'all? If you're in danger, stay your inside. I'm tired of wearing a mask.
So great. I think I just fell in love with Chet Hanks. That was amazing. At first you're like, oh no, not him too. Oh, Okay, I'm on board with you, Chet.
I think there's a lot of people like that. I think the more they start pushing now, because they're all starting to double down, go back to the way it was, you're going to see a lot of people rebelling. I had a friend that was just up in Chicago, Lightfoot territory, and he said nobody was wearing masks up there. No one cared, no one was wearing a mask.
And by the way, anyone who, Elijah referred to it earlier, Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins just issued, in spite of Governor Abbott's executive order, he just issued a Dallas County countywide mask mandate, all indoors again. So for those of you who are wondering, like, now is the time for mass civil disobedience.
Yes. Yeah.
Do not go along with this
don't do it.
anymore. Do
you don't
not
have to wear
do it.
You don't have to wear it.
No.
You don't have to do this kind of, the government does not have the charter to tell you to do something like that.
No.
People are, and I got to say to the Christian audience here that are like, didn't the Bible say to respect and follow the laws of the land? It's not a law, it's a mandate, first of all. These are not lawmakers. A judge is not, they're not making laws.
He's not even a real judge,
Yeah,
by the way.
this is not legit. And they just make these mandates because they're like, well, everyone will use these fancy words. It's the pirate code, buddy. And you got to be like Jack Sparrow. It's more of a suggestion rather than an actual law. It's not a rule book. So just don't do it. People walk in. I was in California, to tell you, where everybody would walk in with masks. They'd put them on, and I just walked in like I owned the place, and even Starbucks places that said, please put on a mask to come in here. And nobody said anything, because it's like, look, I'm not, who I am. We know where we're at in society now. I'm not putting one on, and I'm not leaving. And so let's just do business. And that's what I think it is. It's like, if you're going to wear one, and if you're not, and don't start again.
Yeah.
Right.
But please, I am begging you guys, this ends when we finally say that it ends. You have to say it's done. All right, we've got more to come. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So, we've got a lot of these corporations, these large corporations, especially Big Mobile, who are, kind of going woke. A lot of big mobile carriers, I don't know if you know this, if you are still with some of them, they are actually taking a portion of your money that you are giving them in your bill, and they're donating it to left-leaning causes like Planned Parenthood, organizations that want to take your guns, things of that nature. I'm going to say, if you're watching this program, they are things that you are actually spending your hard-earned money and time fighting against. Well, Patriot Mobile is a Christian conservative, America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, by the way, and they have the broadest nationwide coverage. They use the same towers as all the major carriers, so you are getting that same great service. Plus, they have plans to fit any budget. They have a customer service team that is 100% U.S.-based. You are going to love them, and more importantly, they're going to donate a portion of your bill to organizations that you believe in. They're fighting for religious freedom, Constitution, the sanctity of life, things of that nature. You got to go to patriotmobile.com/news. You can get free activation with the offer code NEWS. By the way, if you are a veteran or first responder, they have really special discounts for you. You got to check them out. It is patriotmobile.com/news, offer code NEWS. Apple, which is rolling out a new system to scan iCloud photo rolls for child sex abuse materials, has promised that it would refuse to use such a system for political purposes.
Oh, thank God.
Well, so you can really trust them, right? Because at first you were like, I don't know if I can trust Apple, but then they promised that they wouldn't do it.
There
so
we
now
go.
you're like,
Crisis averted.
Well, they promised, so we're good, you guys. This is a story that first surfaced, I believe it was at the end of last week, that it had come out that they were going to store a database of hashes of known child sex abuse material provided by organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and it will run those hashes against the hashes of each photo in a user's iCloud to see if there is a match. If so, they will be forwarded to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the user's iCloud account will be locked. They said that the people without child sex abuse material on their phones would not have their photos seen by Apple or the authorities. So nothing to worry about here.
Just to clarify, because I know that was a lot of words for a lot of people. This is that there is a known database of CP that they have, like they register this, and obviously through algorithms or whatever, they digitally can decide what these images are shared and shared. And they're basically scanning people's phones for these specific images, not just like you have nudes of your wife.
Right.
Because a lot of people are worried right now, being like, oh, are they going to get pictures of some serious pics coming out? But I'm saying these are pre-pictures.
They're pictures that they are receiving from.
They're not looking for nudity. They're not looking for any of these things.
I mean, yes, they're looking for nudity, but only in these specific.
Okay.
This is what they say.
Because
I'm
just wondering what they're doing. I'm trying to understand. It's like, are they just going into your phone and looking for, like, that's what would scare me more if it was like, we're just going to people's phones instead of like scanning their phones.
Well, but isn't that where this is going?
Yes, but I'm just trying to know where we're at as a society.
But that is where it's at, though. So they're saying that their algorithm is doing it, their system is doing it, or the program or whatever, not the person. So they are scanning every single picture, but they're just not tagging the ones that are the nudes of your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. It's only tagging the ones that they know are CP. But you got to see that the system they're building is absolutely nuts. I mean, it's all, and this is how progressivism works. They give you something that sounds like we could all agree with. You're like, oh, we all want child pornographers to get busted, and that is something we can all agree about.
Who wouldn't get on board with this?
Who wouldn't, right?
Right.
But then where does that lead to? You can see where this is going to lead to. I'm going to tell you, this is a little sneak peek from something I'm working on for Glenn later about the intelligence community. Big tech is already in bed with our government and intelligence agencies. There was an AP article, and you can Google this, that came out, I think, last month, where they straight up just admitted. They said, oh, yeah, to find all these extremists and right-wing extremists and white supremacists, all this stuff, we are in an agreement or a partnership with the Five Eyes Intelligence Organization, which is the United States, Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand, can't remember the other one. Those are the, like, NSA, and their equivalent all around the world. They're in a little partnership with them, and they're both looking at lists that they have compiled of known right-wing extremists and all that, whatever. They're already in league with them. So how much further is this advanced with technology like this? And what's even scarier is this is coming out in the news because it's Apple. This is already being done. You use Facebook, you use Twitter, you use Reddit. They already do this. They already do this. If you have a Facebook account, they're scanning every single picture.
And they gave away everyone's conversations from J6, and they already used a meme that one of the guys had in his photo roll that they said was anti-Semitic, and I'm sure it was probably some nasty anti-Jew meme, whatever, to prove the case that he should not be allowed parole and should remain in maximum security prison because that proves he's a white supremacist. And you're like, they used a meme in the court trial to deny him bail, the human rights and the right to a speedy process, and they delayed his trial. It's not illegal to hate the Jews, even if it's a oh, sorry. Well, it is. I mean, that's a place to use that word. I mean, just to hate someone for the race is not a great thing. But
it's not illegal.
It's not illegal to be a douche. Yeah. And then what they're doing now is it's like with a meme. They're using a meme that it's like, okay, you don't like it, but you can lose bail and be denied a quick and fair and speedy trial. Your human rights in this country, your God-given rights, because of a meme on your phone. Even if you're a crappy person, you deserve rights. Like this is like that's where they're going to. They don't want you to have rights.
Yeah.
No privacy.
Yeah, and I would just like to point out, Jason, you kept using the term right-wing extremists. Just everyone pay attention to how that term is being used, because they are lumping all of us in with a bunch of people that we are not ever or have ever been associated with. But I think at this point, it's clear that we are all right-wing extremists, or they would at least turn us into them.
Oh, yeah, that's what it's all about. I remember reading through what the White Houses or the DHS, I can't remember what the organization, where they were saying they're doubling down on, American extremism. Mm-hmm. And one of the categories was anyone that questions the 2020 election. Well, there's a crap ton of us that don't buy into the crazy, really,
Are you
crazy.
telling me you don't think Joe Biden is the most popular president in the history of the country?
Yeah, right. His rallies draw
his
tens
ratings
of
too.
people.
He filled up almost a third of an auditorium.
That's huge.
Wow, a third?
Yeah, he saw like 320 live viewers on his YouTube channel.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back.
He had more downvotes.
Oh, every time. Hey, was it last week or the week before that I asked you guys, I said, look, I accidentally, oopsies, dropped an F-bomb in the show, and I really need for you guys to do me a favor, go to wherever you get your podcast, subscribe, rate, and review The News and Why It Matters, and tell our BlazeTV overlords that you want me to stay and not to fire me. Now you need to do that for us, but because Elijah did it. That's why.
Yeah.
Because he might get in trouble, and you guys need to
rate
us.
Yeah. And also the reviews really do help as well, because you would be surprised that everything you say on this show gets easily demonetized everywhere and everything, and getting advertisers and bringing that. This is like a very free and easy way to not only compliment Sarah's beautiful and dashing eyeshadow today. Was that the purple?
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, it
but
is
also
purple.
to like help the show continue. You know, it helps.
Yeah, so please do. By the way, you may see your review read on air like the one today from Grandma Proud, who says, love character. You are the first news I listen to each morning. Your common sense and courage is refreshing. I have sent a link to many of my friends so they can be encouraged as well. Thank you so much for being strong, Leslie. Thank you, Leslie, for your kind words. It is for people like you that we continue to do this, but we are telling you one more time, stop complying. Thanks, guys.